I'm in 1602 Amsterdam, standing inside the birth of the world's most valuable business empire. This chest represents the first global IPO, but the business tension here is already rising. They were the masters of trade until the dividend model became a strategic death trap.
You've come a long way for answers, Mark.
The data shows silver pouring in, but the insiders know the margins are actually thinning.
He's got it, I see him.
This headquarters was the brain of a $7.9 trillion beast that forgot how to feed itself. The strategy was simple: control the spice, control the world. But logistics had other plans.
Maintenance on these hulls is eating 30% of the gross profit before a single ship sails.
Inside these warehouses, the smell of success was slowly being replaced by the scent of decay. The mistake wasn't the expansion, it was the refusal to acknowledge the rising cost of debt.
Every cart leaving this port carries a promise of a dividend they can no longer afford.
Clerks were working overtime to hide a simple truth. The company was running on fumes. Look at this. An 18% dividend payout in a year where they actually lost money.
That's absurd.
When you pay investors with capital instead of profit, you are essentially liquidating your future.
This is a disaster.
This vault looks full, but most of this silver is already earmarked for interest payments.
The mansions in Amsterdam grew taller, but the foundation of the VOC was sinking.
Let's see.
The market was in a frenzy, ignoring the bottleneck that was forming in the East Indies.
It's madness. Look at the prices.
Insiders were shifting assets into land, while the public kept buying the VOC hype.
The logbooks were being doctored. It's a classic case of corporate hubris leading to failure. Stagnant water in these canals mirrors the stagnant innovation inside the company boardroom.
Look closely. This journal tells us everything.
Rotting spice is a founder's nightmare. It's literally watching your liquidity turn into dust.
Find anything?
A fleet caught in a dead calm is a metaphor for a business with zero cash flow. Without a working strategic compass, the VOC kept sailing directly into a financial storm.
The cost of labor in the colonies skyrocketed, but the dividend remained non-negotiable.
Follow the path. It's getting dark.
Empty muskets mean an unprotected supply chain. They were over-leveraged and under-defended. You can't maintain a global empire when your fixed costs are 120% of your revenue.
It should be right here.
The sailors knew first. When the pay stops being in silver, the loyalty evaporates.
This iron chain is the physical manifestation of a trade route that just hit a wall.
This must be the legendary barrier.
The letters from the colonies were ignored because the correction phase was seen as a weakness.
A deserted marketplace is the final signal that the local economy has decoupled from the empire.
Burning the inventory was a desperate move to keep prices high, but it was too late. The reaction to the naval blockade was slow, bureaucratic, and ultimately fatal for the business.
Panic in the counting house is what happens when the insider data finally goes public.
Promises mean nothing now. I'll make you pay.
The closed doors in Amsterdam represent the end of the world's first liquidity cycle.
We need to talk.
Founders take note. An urgent letter is useless if your logistics chain is already broken.
The public notices were full of lies, but the weight of the silver told the truth.
We've been expecting you. Deliver it now.
Debasing the currency was the final reaction of a sovereign company that had lost its way. A silent shipyard is the most expensive thing a maritime empire can ever own.
Crossing out trade routes is like deleting your revenue streams one by one.
We cannot breach them head on. There has to be another way.
The storm wasn't just on the sea, it was in the balance sheet of every VOC branch.
We're losing the mast. Hold fast.
An enemy fleet is just a market competitor who has better funding and fewer dividends. The ruins here are a reminder. Even a 7.9 trillion valuation can't survive bad math. A rusted anchor is a stranded asset. The VOC had thousands of them by the end.
The tattered flag is the final brand identity of a business that failed to pivot.
Empty vaults are the result of 200 years of choosing dividends over long-term stability.
But we have to move quickly.
The correction was total. The Dutch state had to step in to clean up the mess.
The final ledger entry is a warning. Profit is an opinion, but cash is a fact.
These ships will never sail again. They are monuments to the dividend trap. Founders must learn to prioritize liquidity over the optics of high-growth payouts.
The sunset on the VOC was the dawn of a new era of regulated business ethics.
History doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. Don't build a 7 trillion company on a $0 foundation.